Good morning, everybody. How are ya? You're looking good today. Let's all stand together. And I want to invite you to say hi to somebody. Greet them, welcome them. Let them know that you're the friendly type. Fantastic. All right. All right, while we're standing, let's just take a breath together. And we are grateful for this another day that we get to live and breathe and do and be. We're grateful for this week of Thanksgiving. Anybody here have, good stuff, huh? Beautiful. It's wonderful. So let's say together 3 times, I am thankful. I am thankful. I am thankful. I am thankful. And now you may be seated. As Advent season begins, I say no to pessimistic or hopeless notions that may have crept into my thinking, dimming my hope and weighing on my mind and heart. Today I say yes to goodness and positivity. I feel a sense of renewed hope dawning within me, a promise that something wonderful is on its way. In these moments I feel my faith reborn. I reaffirm my belief that no earthly condition, no worldly circumstance is greater than spirit. This is where I place my faith, and the power, presence, love, and grace of God. As I call upon these divine attributes within myself, I perceive them more readily in others. I grow in faith that together we have the power to create the world of our highest imaginings. Wow. Romans 15:13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." Isn't that good? And just for your information, today is Adopt a Turtle Day. Adopt a Turtle Day. So I thought, well, I wonder if a turtle brownie would count.
No.
And what was the other one?
National Bavarian Cream Pie Day.
Oh, yeah. So go out and get you a turtle today and a Bavarian cream pie, and you will be in alignment with this day today, right? Sound good? Hey, we're so glad that you're here this morning. You're looking good. You feeling good? Are you taking your vitamins? Come on now. Are you working out and keeping your strength up? Taking care of business, right? Absolutely. It's very important that you do that because we need you. Tell the person next to you, say, we need you. Right? We need you to take care of yourself. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this time we're going to invite the children to come on up front. Hey, come on up.
There's one.
How are you? You have beautiful hair, by the way. You probably never heard that before.
Probably never.
Hey.
I guess that's it.
Okay. All right.
They're
They're already
hiding.
in their class then. Okay. That's all right. You guys, oh, I see. You are their representatives. And we appreciate you being an ambassador for the rest of the kids.
Yes.
Yay! All right. So we normally do our kids' song, but today we're going to do something a little different. Maybe you've heard this before. Sing along if you know it. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, over the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is, ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and slay a singing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. All right. Very nice. Let's send them to their class with a blessing. We love you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. We appreciate you. And we bless your teachers too. All right.
So be it. How is everyone this morning? Good. Well, this morning is the first week of Advent, and we are lighting the candle for, anyone know? You should know from the Daily Word. Oh my goodness. Hope and faith. Thank you. So the affirmation that went with today's Daily Word is hope dawns within me and leads me to deepen in faith. Would you like to say that with me? Hope dawns within me and leads me to deepen in faith. So on this first week of Advent, James and I thought we would begin a kind of mystical journey, a trip to Bethlehem, looking at what Christmas is really all about. And so we're going to lay some foundational material this morning. You know, Unity historically always has looked at Advent as the inner search of the mind and the heart. And Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, spoke of Advent as Christ mind, the second coming of Christ. Now, I hear a lot of people talk about the second coming of Christ, but they do it in a much different way than we in Unity kind of view that. So the Christmas story really is the story of the second coming, finding the Christ within ourselves. There are some preconceived human notions about what the second coming looks like, but you know, they're always looking in the wrong place. They're always looking at an outer experience. And Charles Fillmore told a little story. He kind of drove home this understanding about what the true Advent was. In this story about a follower of William Miller, who was a prophesier of Jesus' return. And he had prophesied that Jesus' second coming would occur between 1843 and 1844. The story that Charles shared was about a farmer who was a Millerite follower. And the man put on his ascension robe and climbed up on a stack of hay to await the second coming, and he fell asleep there. And some mischievous boys were coming by and saw that he was asleep there, and they decided to strike a match to the haystack. And up it went in flames. And when the man suddenly awakened, he yelled out, "Resurrection morn, and I am in hell, just as expected." So part of that shows kind of the problem of our human expectations about things. But the metaphysical fact is borne out in that little story there, that as you think you are, so you are. As in your heart you thinketh, so it is. And so many of us go around with this story inside about being doomed to hell or being lowly or being, unworthy. And so we kind of base these apocryphal ideas on, if I can just get to a level where I'm worthy enough that I can be taken away in this second coming, and then I will have achieved something. And so that there's this outer stride, outer work to be something, to do things in a way that make you acceptable for that. And if we look at the inward journey, it's a mystical experience that we have. That is the second coming, the birthing of the Christ child really is that birthing of the Christ in each and every single one of us. So the Bible, if you look at it from Genesis all the way to Revelation, is everyone's story. It's everyone's story. It veiled in its history is the march of man from this innocence and ignorance of the Old Testament, the early days, all the way, Charles Fillmore says, to a measure of sophistication and understanding. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if the Bible continued on from Revelation up to present day, and we could look at that and say, oh my goodness, from the innocent, naive, kind of primitive way of thinking all the way to where we are today with some understanding. Things have continued to evolve and grow in our understanding and our sophistication. But the Bible reflects our level of thinking at the time, and very much like our own personal journeys, we have a very innocent, naive, basic understanding of things that evolves as we make our spiritual journey. So when we look at the Bible, there's always the Bible stories and the Christmas story. There are always three levels of understanding to it. The first level is the very literal. The very literal. This is the who, the what, the when, the where, the places, the people, the things. The second level is the moral of the stories. What happens when people cooperate with divine mind? Or, in the instance of Noah and the great fish, what happens when you don't cooperate with divine mind, right? So there's morals to all of the stories in the Bible. And then finally, that third level, which is what we want to look at, is that metaphysical level, the mystical journey. What are the people, the places, and the things, and the dates, and what is all of this telling me? How is it relevant to me now, today? Because looking at the Christ story that happened 2,000 years ago, or whenever it was, if I just stick to that basic story, what does it do for me today? I need to dig into it and get the juice out of it, make it relevant to my life today. So that's what we're going to be doing. So when we look at the accounts of the birth of Jesus in the Bible, we only have two stories, two books of the Bible where it's recounted. It's recounted in Matthew, which was written at about 90 AD, and then Luke, which was written sometime between 85 and 90 AD, and they're both contradictory. Isn't that interesting? One will talk about Herod, the other one will not. One talks about Herod, the King Herod killing of the infants, the other one does not. One says that Jesus was born in a house, the other one says he was born in a cave or a manger. So the important thing to understand about the story itself is that it was written many, many years after the death of Jesus. So these were stories that were handed down. We don't know exactly what the details of it were. We're just going by what was written. Births were not recorded, so we have no way of knowing actually what year it was, or even the season or the month, or even really the place. Nativity celebrations weren't widespread until the 4th century when the church leaders chose December 25th to replace and kind of merge the pagan holiday celebration that they were already having, which we know as winter solstice. They were celebrating that, and the church came along and said, well, they're doing it anyway, so let's just tweak it and use it to our advantage, and we'll make it a different kind of celebration. So they labeled December 25th as the birth of Christ, and that's how we wound up with...
So...
Yes.
What you're saying is Jesus is not really a Sagittarius?
I think
But I've heard songs about that.
I think I've heard that Jesus was a Capricorn. Isn't that right? There's a lot of theories about Jesus actually being born in the springtime because there were sheep in the field, and sheep wouldn't be in the field unless it were springtime and things like that. So the important thing, I think, is to not get too hung up on the details of the story on the literal level, because we really just don't know. I wasn't there, you weren't there, we don't know anyone that was personally there. It's all been handed down through storytelling, and how many of you embellish a story every time you tell it? The fish gets a little bigger, right? Every time you tell it. So considering that the relaying of the birth of Jesus happened many years after his death, who knows how much of that is actual fact and how much of that is fish story, right? We just don't know. But Paul said in Colossians chapter 1, verse 26 and 27, that the mystery hidden for ages and generations is Christ in you. That's the hope of glory. So that hope begins when we accept this invitation to the mystical journey within our consciousness to the stable of Bethlehem. It's this mystical journey. It's all about our consciousness, isn't it? Have you heard that before? That everything is really about consciousness, right? So before 1840, Christmas was not widely celebrated. As a matter of fact, there is some record that the Puritans actually outlawed any celebration of the holiday, because those Puritans, they're not going to have any fun, right? So 1840 was the year that big merchants in New York and some of the bigger cities, Boston, began to see that there's some marketing that could be done around an idea that the Germans and the Dutch had brought to the States around Santa Claus. And they saw that personifying the holiday with Santa Claus would be a great marketing tool. And then, of course, you fast forward up into the 40s and 30s, 40s, 50s is when it really hyped up and became what it's known to be today. But the early beginnings of Santa are quite different. There's a lot of stories about the idea of Saint Nick, that Santa, was birthed off the idea of Saint Nick, and that Santa was a shaman. And I know you're going to share some insight about that. Christmas, really, if you think about that word, is Christ Mass, right? And it's the giving of, at Mass, we partake of the body and the juice, the body and the blood. We did communion. How many enjoyed that communion service a couple weeks ago? Wasn't that fabulous? That was just a freebie there. We partake of the body, the blood of Christ in symbolic ways. But this Mass of the Christ is really this giving of the Christ, the idea of the giving nature of Christ. So parents, give gifts to their children, and it's a symbolic representation of this divine attribute. We think about Advent it's the first part of the word adventure. Advent, this 4-week season this 4-week journey preceding the actual day of Christmas is like the adventure, because don't you find that this spiritual journey is an adventure? If you don't find that it's an adventure, we need to talk, because it is truly a you never know when you're going to come up to that next signpost that's going to direct you off to something interesting that you need to see, something interesting that you need to experience. And you think, I don't want to get off of my journey and go off and see the largest ball of twine in all of Idaho. But, there it is, and it presents itself, and you veer off, and you're on your adventure. So this mystical journey that we're on to birth the Christ within us is a mystical adventure. So where did this idea of Santa as a shaman develop?
I'm glad you asked.
Well, yeah, tell us.
We planned this ahead of time. No. Well, the concept of Santa came along later on when in villages and cities and towns there were people who were considered, because they didn't have doctors back then. There were no MDs or there were no dental, dentists. It was just whoever felt the most empowered would become the medicine man or the medicine woman. And so these people were considered to have magical powers. They were considered to have the ability to heal others. And so they would give these gifts of healing and assistance to people. Okay? They would help people. So you could say that Santa was a shaman, okay, a medicine man. And he had his bag. Well, doctors today, well, not really today. They now have their laptops, but there was a time when medical people carried bags with them, right? And so some shamans would wear bright colors so that they would be recognized, so that if you had a problem, you had a challenge, a health challenge, say your children had a challenge, you would bring them to the shaman, and the shaman or the medicine man, he would work with, or the medicine woman would work with the child and help them to overcome. Because the one thing they did understand that we as modern people maybe have forgotten a little bit is they understood that a lot of it was psychological. Tell the person next to you, say, oh. Right? A lot of what creates illness in our lives is psychological. And so a lot of times just having a positive perspective will cause you to be more healthy, right? And to rise above. And to have a positive attitude is very important. And so these shamans, they would do these mysterious different types of methods and techniques, and they would work with people, and they would go on the inner plane. They had the ability to go into the inner dimension, and they would work on the inner plane, and then when they came back out, the person would feel better. And so who knows, and I'm sure that a lot of them had special gifts and so forth, and maybe some were just good actors, but sometimes, have you heard of the placebo effect? I remember watching Andy Griffin one time, and there was a lady who, a new gal came in, and she was the pharmacist. Anybody remember this? She was the pharmacist, and they would give out sugar pills to some of the folks. And so she decided they weren't going to do that anymore because that's not good medicine, right? And so this one lady who used to get her pills, right, from the pharmacist, she got very sick and just she was dying on her deathbed. And so finally Andy convinced the new pharmacist, she needs her pills. And so she gave her the sugar pills, and she had a miraculous recovery, right? So I wonder sometimes, are the pills really that powerful, or is it our belief in the pills that help to give it its power? I'm just wondering. I'm not saying for sure, I just wonder about some of these things. How many wonder about stuff sometimes? Yeah, I wonder. Yeah. But anyway, so the color red symbolizes the root chakra. How many have heard of that? The red is the survival. It's about, fight or flight. And so this is the color that Santa began to wear, because what the medicine man, he would work on those survival issues with people and heal their what? Their fears. If you can help somebody by helping them with their fear, you can help them change their life. Isn't it true? Sometimes just by releasing a fear, you can let go of a headache or a backache, nagging pain that you can't get rid of. And I've seen it work. I've seen it work many times. So, but there were lots of myths, about these magic men, who would come from a very spiritual place. And so what does Santa do? He's on this sleigh with these, how many reindeer are there?
I didn't know you were going to ask me that.
There's 7 reindeer.
Where are the kids? They know.
7 reindeer, right? Well, that includes Rudolph.
I don't know.
But he only goes on special trips. Come on, guys, let's get your facts straight here, all right? No. But see, 7 is a number that is it's a mythological kind of a number. And there's 7 energy centers in the body. 7 is a very as a number of people say, when 7 comes up, I'm being very lucky. I'm a lucky person. And so, anyway, all these myths came together eventually to embody the idea of Santa Claus. But I want to take you just a little bit deeper. Santa Claus represents the divine nature of the Christ in action.
Yeah.
Okay? And Santa, delivers gifts from on high, sharing love and joy and peace with all. Mm-hmm. Isn't that spirituality? See, when you really understand and you look beyond the superficial surface of things, you can begin to see that the Christ mind, the mind of God, is talking to us all the time and every day in every way.
Yeah. So one of the things that we have in unity that we talk about a lot are the 12 powers. And these were identified as 12 sort of innate abilities that we all have within us that we, through our journey, work on developing, work on using them, strengthening them, and developing them, and keeping them in balance in our lives. So there is a lot to the mystery of numbers. You're talking about the number 7. The mystical journey actually features 12 stages, which are representative kind of these 12 powers. And 12 means cosmic order or divine order. It also means salvation. So I have a very serious question for you. When somebody comes up to you and says, "Are you saved?" what is your answer? No, not well, just simply yes. Yes. Just cut that conversation. Yes, because you are saved in every single moment. You are born anew in every single moment. And that's all they want to know.
Well, what if you didn't pray the right prayer?
That's all they want to know is, are you okay?
Or if you don't go to the right church.
Well, that's a conversation for another time.
That's one we're going to have Monday night.
Okay.
We'll talk about that later.
But the bigger, the question of, are you saved? Yes, you are, because in every single moment that you take a breath, you are born anew. Why? Because you have the opportunity to do something differently. And isn't that really what salvation is all about? Is hitting the mark, doing something the quote-unquote correct way or the best way that you know how to do it. So every time you take a breath, you have a choice to do something new. This journey is our journey into that, doing new things each step along the way. trying new things. That didn't work. All right, let's try it again and let's do it another way. So each of these stages through the journey is unfolded in the Christmas story, and it's another power that we're capable of using if we hone them, if we develop them and use them in a positive way. The story is a story of transformation. We're really transforming our consciousness, transforming our thinking, transforming our being, and the goal of transformation is salvation or freedom from error thinking and seeing ourselves less than we are. Because many of us at the core of our being hold a kernel of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm fundamentally flawed, there's something wrong with me. And by making this transformational journey, we are working on changing our consciousness, cleaning our mind, our thinking of those latent thoughts, beliefs, and ideas. Yes? Aren't we working on that? Yes. We're working on that through this journey. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about the word salvation in the Bible, in the Greek, is literally soteria. And soteria was a Greek goddess who was the goddess of preservation, the goddess of health and healing and wholeness. Mm-hmm. So the idea of being saved is just being whole. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I've met some people who say that they are saved, but they're not safe to be around.
No.
You know what I mean? So, what it's really referring to is this divine idea of wholeness and being well, being in your right mind, being in a peaceful state, being in a whole state, a state of oneness with life rather than in opposition to life. You can tell the people that aren't saved because they're crazy. And I'm speaking, from this perspective. Yeah. So, true salvation is just this idea of entering a state of wholeness.
Yes.
And so this journey is a journey to wholeness. The journey to Bethlehem is the journey to wholeness and wellness.
Which is really what Jesus was here to teach. He was here to teach us wholeness. You always often talk about, Jesus was teaching a psychological healing our error thinking. That's what he was doing. So if we divide up the Christmas story into stages, we think about the first stage of the story. We're introduced to King Herod, who was killing off all of the infants that were less than 2 years old. We were introduced to the wise men following the star, which actually happened, if you look at the two writings about the Christmas story, happened long before Mary even found out she was pregnant. It came before that inception. And then the actual characters of Mary and Joseph and the wise men. So first of all, we have Herod the Great, who was a king, and he symbolizes the ego because Herod was, I guess we could call him a crazy dude.
He didn't start that way.
He didn't start that way, but what happened was he got so far into his ego, and he got so egocentric that he literally just blew his life up really more.
What can I say? It's good to be king.
It is. But what's important about Herod being who he was, which I'll talk about here in just a second, before we start this journey looking at this, is that he was flawed. He was driven by his ego, which tells us that this process is open to anyone and everyone. It's open to everyone. I know I've heard stories in the fundamentalist Christian circles of great faith healers and so forth that did, seemingly great work, and they were very flawed people. But see, Spirit doesn't see the flaws. That's our thing, right? So this process is open to everyone, but it requires us to do the power of releasing. We have to give up those erroneous beliefs about ourselves. The ego is not to be killed. It's not to die off. The ego is to be made friends with so that the ego becomes our servant rather than we being our ego's servant, right? Because that's what happened to poor King Herod. He got into a position of serving the ego rather than letting the ego serve him. He was a very gifted intellectual man. He had excellent skills in diplomacy. He worked with other nations, but he was plagued with fear and paranoia. Back to that fear thing. He was plagued with it. He felt that if someone else got power over him, all would be lost, so he would just do away with them.
Well, I'm not like that. What are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, see if you've got anybody in your thinking that you try to do away with, or that you try to terrorize in your thinking, or make judgments about, or see as less than. I know none of you here do. I know.
We do it every day. You know how we do it?
Shh.
What?
Don't tell them they do it every day. They don't think they do it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Cat's out
Some
of the bag.
people, not in this room, do this. And that is, whenever a new thought arises that you're giving birth to, and it says, you are worthy. Mm-hmm. You are worthy. And so the Herod, the ego in you, kills that thought. Says, no, that can't happen. You're dead. Mm-hmm. I'm not worthy. Or another thought that says, hey, you can find peace in your life. You can be at peace. That thought comes, and you kill it. And you kill it. And you keep killing it because you want to stay in the fear and paranoia, because the ego is running the show. Yep. The ego runs the show. Yep. And so that's why the ego needs to give it up and turn the power over to the higher mind that knows the whole story, that sees the big picture, that can lead you where you need to go. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So in one sense, we're all Herod.
Yes.
We're all the Christ. But we're all Herod in that sense, that we are killing off all of those new thoughts and ideas, new feelings and emotions, because, oh, I can't feel that, I can't think that, I can't go there because I'm not worthy. Yep. Because I'm not, I'm not the Christ. But we are. Yeah. I mean, that's the revelation. Yeah. If you don't get anything out of unity but this, get this. You are the Christ. You are part of the Christ. Yeah. Okay? You are innocent and pure and perfect and lovely, just the way you are. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And thus comes the unfolding, the metaphysical unfolding of Herod killing off all the infants that were under 2 years of age. Right. All of those new baby ideas that we get. Because we can't let them grow up and take over.
Ego will try to shut them down.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
You think you're worthy to get that promotion? Do you think you deserve to have a better life? Who are you to think that?
But then what's funny is that the ego plays the flip side of that. And as in the case of Herod, he had an exaggerated opinion of himself. So you got the one flip side saying, who are you? You're a nobody. And then the other side saying, well, you're better than everybody else. The ego always plays both sides against the middle.
Well, at least I'm not as bad as that person.
Well, yeah, well. So he had an exaggerated opinion of himself, and he used his authority and his kingly position to dominate people rather than to serve them, which is the true purpose, as I said earlier, of the ego, is to serve spirit rather than letting us be dominated by it.
And that's, one of the characteristics of somebody who is under the power of ego is they're very small-minded. Very small-minded. right? They have an exaggerated opinion of themselves, but they use their power and their authority to dominate other people. And how many understand that's a small idea? To dominate other people. That means that I can't let you express and be who you are. You have to be who I think you're supposed to be. And if you're not who I think you're supposed to be, then you are wrong, brother. Right? That's the Herod, the small-mindedness.
So he also suffered from extreme guilt. He had as many as 10 wives and a whole host of mistresses and concubines and...
Well, you got to have something to do on the weekend.
I guess. And history says that he was ultimately driven crazy and died of gonorrhea from all those lonely nights. So the end result of being driven by the ego is to have yourself be driven crazy, right? And to be sick. And we don't want that, right? We want to control as much as we can, get control of our ego. And how do we do that? In part, we do that through prayer and meditation. We do that by experiencing salvation every moment, every breath, making a choice to do something different. So then as we travel through the story and we get on the other side of Herod, we have the encounter of the star. The star speaks of wisdom. So as you're going along in your journey and you're starting to get some control of that ego thinking, you're starting to have some understanding of who you are, what you are, we begin to pull in some wisdom about things and about how to use our ego properly. And then we have the characters of Mary and Joseph. Now, imagine Mary and Joseph. They're very young. Mary was probably 13, 14 years old, very young. And, if we go by the story, she winds up pregnant. And Joseph decides secretly that he's going to divorce her because that is a scandal like no other back then, right? Up until very recently, we held women accountable for that scandal, right? And God spoke to him and said, here's what's going to happen, here's what's going on. And so he said, okay, he married her. Because back then, to be betrothed was the same as being married. And that's why he was going to secretly divorce her. So they had the opportunity in being presented with an idea to either let go of that idea or to nurture it, to care for it, and to bring it to its full birth. And we have that opportunity to either get sidelined with things and not pay attention to what wants to be birthed in us, or to nurture it, to provide all the nutrients and care that we can for it, and to birth this child, this Christ consciousness. Yes? Yeah. So one of the things that it tells in the story is that Mary and Joseph went to the inn, and the inn was too full. It was too crowded, and they couldn't stay there. And the inn, and in the Bible, any kind of dwelling place, speaks of our consciousness. So you could say that our consciousness gets too crowded, too busy with opposing thoughts, with opposing things to do, places to go, to give our time to nurture and to give birth to this Christ consciousness. So during this 4 weeks prior to the Christmas Day celebration, with all of the busyness of the cookie making and the tree decorating and the getting the perfect gift and the this and the that, don't let your consciousness, don't let your in get too crowded, too busy, too full to make room for the incredible birthing of your Christ consciousness. because that's the ultimate gift. You are the ultimate gift under the tree this year. James would like for you to say with me, I am the gift. Because he loves to do that, right? Right?
And let's make room for cookies, too.
Yeah. So our hope today is that the glory of the Christ nature shines through as hope for a better world. It's also our use of faith to not just hope for it, but to take the actions that are necessary to bring it about. You know, we celebrate in unity, recognize and celebrate both hope and faith because it's a continuum. Sometimes we start hopeful, and as things evolve, we're able to step into more faith. So when these ideas, these opposing belief systems come up about who you are, be hopeful. Take that hopeful step saying, no, I am not that. I am not unworthy. I am worthy. Taking those hopeful steps will move you into the faith of knowing that you know that you know that you know that you are worthy, that you are birthing the Christ being. You are the Christ this morning. Whether you have awakened to that idea yet or not, you are the Christ. So let the Christ be born in you, and let's start that with hope and faith by doing those things that we know are necessary to propel that along.
Some good therapy this morning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. How you feeling? How you feeling? You feeling all right? Good. I'm going to ask Jeff to play a little something for us. And as he does so well, maybe take a breath, breathing gently, easily, just relaxing. Let go of stressful thinking, crowded thoughts. Let your mind open up a little bit. New ideas, new thoughts, new feelings. The birthing of the Christ in you. So now let us release and let go of the old ways that no longer serve us. That bitterness, that resentment, that unhealthy way of being. Would you be willing to let that go this morning? Detaching from. And we detach many times from something by forgiving ourselves. Yes, I've made mistakes. I've fallen down. I've said things and done things, acted in ways that I'm not always proud of. But I know that inside of me is a potential, a Christ seed that is able to grow and to mature and become the tallest tree in the garden of God. And on this tree there are many fruits, beautiful fruits, attitudes of love, kindness, patience, wisdom, peacefulness. And that's who I really am. So this morning I'm willing to become who and what I'm supposed to be in this moment, in this timing, in this world, in this situation, with these people, with this work that I do. I'm here, and I'm ready, and I'm available to be the Christ presence in my world that I live. If you know of someone that you'd like to hold in this moment of prayer, I invite you to picture them in your mind or hold a thought of their energy. Maybe get a feel for them. And then in your own way, I invite you to pray for them now. Sending them love, peace, and healing energy. Because you are the Christ. And that power is in you. So we declare their freedom, their liberty, their healing experience, the spirit, the mind, and the body. We release now that powerful energy of the Christ. We surround our family with our prayers and our love and our light, our friends, our spiritual community, our neighborhood community, the Greenville community and all the surrounding towns. We see that light shining brightly and beautifully, which is what the light does. It just shines. It just is. And we're grateful. We're thankful. We hold the notion of peace in earth and on earth this day for all people everywhere, for every nation, every tribe, every person. We hold the thought of peace for you. Choose peace. choose peace. Choose peace. Choose hope. Choose faith. Now take a deep breath and let's just wait for just another moment or two in this beautiful moment. So in the name and nature of the Christ and all this sacred, holy, and good, we say, Amen. So be it. And so it is. As we turn the lights back on, I invite you to stretch, release. We're going to ask Lisa to get ready to come. All right. You know, on December 7th, we're going to have a special global world peace meditation. We're going to live stream it from here. And we're going to be praying for all the nations. We're going to be praying for you. We've asked folks from various Unity churches to send us their prayer requests and if they'd like for us to hold them and their community in prayer. And we're going to affirm the highest good for all. And we're going to be joined by Jeff. He's going to be with us. And Melissa Murphy's going to be with us. And also Chris King is going to be with us. So lots of good music. And it's just going to be a night of affirming and prayer. And we're going to live stream it out. And so for those that can, we would love for you to be here in person if if you can be here, because that builds the energy. And then we're going to send that energy out through the internet to the world, stream to the world. And we're going to call forth the light, call forth the truth, and call forth the peace. So are you with me? December 7th, 6:30, right here. And we'll be live streaming on our website, Facebook, and YouTube. So we're really excited about that. Tomorrow night is our third class on Zoom, and we're talking about how to talk with fundamentalists, how to talk with them. So if you're interested in that, and maybe you haven't been to the other classes, you can come to this one. You just give us your email address, and we'll send you the Zoom link. Then as you're coming, Lisa, come on up, come on down. Don't forget, we have our 50-50 raffle. How many need a little extra money for Christmas? 50-50 raffle. All right. So, come on up, dear. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's okay if I cover that up?
Absolutely.
All right. Good morning, Unity. My name is Lisa Munoz. It's my joy to be your platform assistant today on this first day of Advent. Such a special day. So you've already heard some of all the exciting things that are going on. We have so many events, and we have two with Jeff Holland this week. He's going to be continuing his Supersonic Sunday series today at 3, and then Wednesday evening is his, no, that is not correct. Okay, the calendar was not right, so sorry. Aha! It said that on the calendar, so that's why I brought it up. So yeah, the end of November. So Jeff will be here on Wednesday night at 6:30 for his drumming. His drumming. Yeah, wonderful. And we have all these beautiful Christmas trees, but right now I want to call your attention to this third one over here. This is our angel tree, and besides the beautiful decorations and lights that you see are these little cards that are on the tree. And this is our Christmas outreach project this year. We're going to be supporting 2 different organizations. One is Safe Harbor, which supports women and children who have experienced domestic violence. And the other is the Sterling Community Center here in Greenville, which provides a lot of different community services for their neighborhood. So we are asking you, if it's in your heart to help this Christmas, to go to the angel tree after the service, take a card off, take more than one if you're so moved, and you'll see on the card is everything you need to know. At the top is the charity. So if you have one specific one that you'd like to support, look for that one. It'll be Safe Harbor on the top or Sterling Community. Then it will have the designation for the gift, either an adult or a child. If it's for a child, it'll have their ages, so you have a better idea of how to shop for that child. We have some suggestions. This one was for a preschooler for age 4, so we were suggesting an educational game, maybe around colors, numbers, alphabet letters. Most important thing on the bottom here, do not wrap your gift. This is at the request of the charities that we're supporting. They need to be able to see the gifts to make sure they're distributed evenly to everyone. So we will not be wrapping them. We ask you not to wrap them. If you still have the tag, put it on the gift with a piece of tape. That will help us organize it as we go to take them. If something happens and the card gets lost, don't panic. We have a master list. We'll be able to figure it out. But it could help us with a step if you go ahead and do that. And very importantly, we need your gifts by December 11th. So that's 2 weeks from today. And the reason for that early calling them back in is that we need time to organize them and take them to the various places so that they can be distributed by Christmas. So 2 weeks. So we'll help you remember this again next week, but hopefully today a lot of the tags will go home with you, so you'll be able to start shopping for those. Another thing on December 11th that's coming up is that's the date for our children's Christmas show, which is being led by Chuck Alvarado. That's going to be directly after the service. Correct? Yeah. So we're excited. So if you can stay that day, that would be wonderful. I think the children are preparing some songs, some dances, different things. So wonderful holiday way to celebrate there. It's the season for gifting, as we all know, and we have a special Christmas donation box in the back that's wrapped to look like a present. And this is if you would like to make an extra contribution for Christmas gifts for our staff here at Unity Church of Greenville, that's where we'd ask you to put those. We would really appreciate that. And lastly, Leah wants some help decorating the other 2 trees. There's a beautiful start. You can see the angel and the lights, but they need some more decorations. And so Leah would love to know if you'd like to help with that. Leah and Lori also would like to know. It just said Leah on my little slip, so that's why I said that. Didn't mean to leave you out, Lori. So they would really appreciate it if you would like to help finish up those trees for going forward for this month. All right, and then do we have anyone who's here for the first time this morning? Do we have a newcomers today? Welcome. We're so happy that you're here. We welcome you, and if you didn't get a connection card yet, we hope that you have one. Oh, she's got one. Wonderful. And we're so glad that you're here with us. And if we have anyone online that's here for the first time as well, we want to welcome you, and we would love to stay connected with you. If you could send us your email address, we would love to be able to reach out to you. We have prayer chaplains available today. Do we know who our prayer chaplains on duty are today? Oh, right there. Cecilia's got her stole on, so you'll recognize her, and she would love to meet with you just in the hallway this direction. There's a room where we have prayer time with our chaplains, so we don't want anyone to leave with a heavy heart today. Or if you want to extend your gratitude a little bit and share some joy with us as well, Cecilia would love to pray with you today. And lastly, can we thank all the volunteers, all the hearts and hands that made our service happen today? We appreciate you, volunteers. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you, Lisa. We really appreciate it so much. And one last thing that we're going to do now is to give an opportunity for everyone to give an offering. And our offerings are sacred. We believe that money is energy and energy is sacred, right? And so whatever you choose to do it from your heart, do it from a place of joy, do it from a place of prosperity and abundance, and you choose to give what you choose to give. But just know that we appreciate it. We appreciate whatever you give, and we're wanting to see the number continue to grow. It looks like we did. We're in the green, or in the black. I like to call it, we're in the green. So we need at least $15,000 a month, and so during the month of November we were able to get $16,000 so far. And so whatever you give today, we'd love to hit that number of $20,000. That would be fantastic. Tell the person next to you, say, that would be fantastic. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for your giving. Let's say together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all I receive, and all that I am. And how would you like to hear another number by Jeff? Would you like that? Fantastic. We actually had someone else scheduled to sing, but they were on a plane and they couldn't get here. So I asked Jeff last night, I said, Jeff, could you do music for us? He said, sure. He's like a one-man band. Thank you. Let's all stand together. Don't forget 50-50 raffle today. And if you'd like to meet with Lori and with Leah right here, right after, if you could help decorate the trees and the sanctuary here, we'd really appreciate it. Maybe use your artistic gifts, or if you just have two hands, that'd be great. All right? Let's say together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. For wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless. Have a great week.